Hello everyone, this is Pastor Lon, my beautiful wife Robbie Lynn. Hope everybody's doing well today. I want to welcome y'all back to our next episode of Come Sit a Spell. We like having y'all come sit a spell with us. Normally we're on the porch, but tonight we're in here at the kitchen table or on Robbie's Island.
I don't know what edition this is.
I don't know what edition this is.
We need to count them and say.
Earlier when we got home from church, it was the drag strip was fired up out there, and we had some company and all that was glad to have over. And it ain't cold outside, but it was just kind of.
If you got short sleeves on, it's nippy.
So anyway, we decided to come inside with it again tonight and here in the kitchen. But
actually, it's 57 outside.
Yeah, 57 degrees here in South Carolina in our neck of the woods. But
headed towards 47.
Yeah, what's the forecast for the rest of the?
80 tomorrow, 79 Friday, and 82 Saturday. And the lows are in the high 50s, low 60s. So we're getting on up there.
Yeah.
50% chance of rain Friday.
Got to get some stuff in the ground. We got them.
But this, was it Tuesday, Monday, that we had a light frost?
Yeah, scattered frost here.
Yeah.
I can see where it.
I think that was Sunday night. Got 39 or 30 something, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yesterday.
So Monday morning. It would have been Monday morning?
Yeah. Anyway, whenever we had a scattered frost here, and like I said, where it bit back some of the fig tree and a few things.
It looked kind of limp, but I mean, they're fine.
I think it was far enough along where it didn't affect them that bad.
And some of my herbs that I had potted under the patio out there got one pot was kind of, I wouldn't say, it's kind of wilted like.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it'll come back out.
But hope y'all having some good weather where y'all are, and we just wanted to encourage you tonight. There's a lot going on. There goes that yawn. She's starting early, but we just wanted to encourage y'all. As we always tell you, we don't preach doom and gloom, but we always encourage you to be prepared and be prayed up, prepped up best you can. But we can't live in fear. You gotta live your life. You might as well be in bondage or, not even be here if you don't live in fear and not live your life. But you got to be smart, keep your head on a swivel, keep your head in the game, pay attention to what's going on around you. But
basically
just common sense
learn
stuff.
To live with less and do more for yourself instead of depending on somebody else.
The more skills you can learn to do on your own, the better off you'll be in the long run. With no matter what situation you may face in the future.
Don't have any ties to certain people that can manipulate you.
The more independent it's hard for just one or two people to be self-sufficient, but it really would be better if you had a community. Yeah, and we got a little bit of that with a couple of folks at our church. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on that tonight. We just encourage you to be prepared because there are a lot.
Just live like Grandma did.
That's right. Live like Grandma did. There are a lot of crazy things going on in the world. So just be prepared the best you can. But what we really want to talk about, and ironically, we're not on the front porch tonight, but I just got this thinking about this, and I bounced it off Robbie Lynn, mentioned it to her. But we want to talk about the need to bring back the front porch fellowship, front porch sessions that we were raised
gatherings.
up. Get-togethers, fellowship gatherings of families. And we're going to share a few things that we remember that we used to either take part in when we were kids or maybe we got a little bit older, and what our parents and grandparents done on those front porches. That was like therapy. And the number one thing about the front porch was I remember that it was unity and fellowship, and families were a lot more tight-knit and closer together. Wouldn't you agree?
I can just see it like it was yesterday. My granny, she had a big white, I don't know what kind of roof it was, a big white house, all I know, with tall roof, tall ceilings, with that one light hanging in the middle that you had to cut on. It would swing
with a wood heater.
But that front porch went from one side to the other, and it was like tall, like the house. It was screened in, and had that front door, that screen door that's, I don't know how many times that thing
thing's slapping closed.
And she had a swing on one end and then rocking chairs. Everybody would just get out there and it was amazing.
That's where the gathering place was. That's where y'all would gather.
And most time if the adults were up there on the porch, the children were out there until it was so dark we couldn't see, and we'd still be out there playing hide and go seek and all that.
And we used to take the little Tonka trucks and tractors and make little roads out there in the dirt and play up under my granny's house. But the front porch, that's one thing we remember too. Like she just mentioned, kids playing together. And now, unfortunately, we live in a culture where people don't even or let the kids get dirty outside anymore.
We played until when we came in. We got out of the bathtub.
You knew it. Yeah. Hey, y'all ever heard of granny beads around your neck? Granny beads in your arm right here.
And my granny had two, what you call sycamore trees
in
the front yard, and we had my granddad had a swing around it, and we swing out there and push each other. We had so much fun out there. You can just see things in your mind.
When you start thinking about it, it takes you back. And then right there too, in front of her grandmama's house and kind of across the fifth floor.
Yeah, the railroad, the train went right in front of us.
The train would run right there, and we used to go out there and put pennies or stuff on there and let it run over it and flatten it. Or how about the caboose?
The caboose would throw us those little suckers with the little ring. It was a round flat sucker with the little hoop handle on it, whatever.
Yep. But you could hear that train coming. We'd be out there, and we heard it coming. We'd be running out there, and all the kids in the neighborhood would be running out there waiting on that caboose to come.
Nobody got killed by the train.
Nobody got run over by the train.
We had sense enough to stay off the
train. And we didn't even have a train derailment and chemical spills and all that. But again,
real people driving it.
Yeah, we're keeping this positive, but just trying to. I think it does you good to reminisce sometime. People say, well, they didn't even think about the past. That's gone. But sometimes the past will help you calm your nerves, really. And a lot of people say, well, it makes me feel worse because it's not like that anymore. But sometimes that's just a getaway for me.
Your memories are always something.
I love memories are made for a reason, and we're looking back on those memories now. And then the things they would talk about would be like different things going on in the community, whether it was family issues,
town gossip.
Town gossip, unfortunately, and that was
while we shell beans and peas.
Yeah.
And shuck corn.
Yeah.
There was always in the summertime. There was always something out of the garden we were working on.
Yeah, and back then you didn't. You did discuss. You knew what everybody's kids were doing in school, and everybody looked out for one another more back then.
And my papa is what we called him. Papa used to drink his tea out of a mason jar. He'd take that thing and shake that ice. He'd come out from the garden plowing or whatever, and I'd have to pick splinters out of his toes and feet, and let us comb his hair and stuff like that.
And he would sit back in that swing. Sometime he'd rest that big mason jar up on his stomach. Yeah. But those were the good old days. But they discussed, everything was discussed on those front porches. But most of the time, when we grew up, the kids were out there doing what kids do, and the parents up there, the adults were up there doing what adults do. You didn't get in adults' business when we were coming up. Unfortunately, that's changed today. But when we were coming up, kids doing what kids
played
do.
Outside.
We played outside from daylight to
dark. Adults were
dark.
talking, you went outside.
Right.
But I can remember all those. It seems like we were just always at my granny's, because I don't. I know I had a house of my own, but the memories I remember is at granny's house on the front porch and outside and in the garden. I'd follow my papa in the garden planting, and he's the one that taught me a lot about
one
gardening.
time you were planting seeds in his footprints.
I'd go right behind him. And he's taught me to run that mule, what we called a mule, but it was a plow, one row plow.
Yeah, gasoline powered.
But I was hardly able to hold it up. He taught me how to.
My granddad taught me the same thing.
Tiller, he let me tiller.
Yeah. But that's where we got what little bit of knowledge we got.
And it seemed like back then that nobody was in a hurry.
Yeah.
It was.
Everybody had time to stop by and talk for a little bit.
Anxiety and rush. I mean, it was always everything was slower pace.
And nobody was sitting around on a cell phone. Wasn't no such thing. which was a great time.
I still say that's one of the worst things they ever invented was
I agree.
That is the, what would you call, detriment of a lot of people.
That's true. And,
it's addictive.
It is. And we're all guilty of it. We can't really point any fingers, unfortunately.
I spend way too much screen time. I got a little thing on my phone that tells me each week how much screen time what my percentage is, up or down or whatever, and tells me how many hours of screen time. And no matter what I'm looking at, it counts it as.
I heard a YouTuber today was talking about if something was to go wrong in the society, that back then people were closer together. They knew skills. They knew they could work a garden. They knew how to do things. They were closer together. But now that everybody's further apart, if that same depression or whatever was to come back, it would probably be 100 times worse than it was in 1929.
Well, like Patera was talking today.
I think that's who they was talking about.
There's nobody living that lived through the depression that was, old enough to actual it affect like that. There were kids that were born during that time.
Yeah, that's true.
So nobody really knows what it's like.
So, like we said, you always need to be prepared and don't be, You
need to have a community. You need to have a tight knit community.
You need that in case a tornado hits or a hurricane. You've seen some of these bad weather storms just hit out in the Midwest and other places, and
seeded.
They come together though and pull together, and that's the way we need to get back to doing. You can see that we're not as strong together as a nation because we're not as strong together as communities and families, and we're really to blame for that. The culture today, and there are a lot of people on here that probably watch these videos. That's one reason we like doing this Come Sit a Spell. You may not have anybody to sit on the front porch with. You may not have anybody to sit and chat with. And you can't physically chat with us per se on this video, but you can comment, and then I comment back. And that, to me, that goes a long way. When I comment on somebody's video and they comment back, that gives you a good feeling, to know that you got somebody else out there that's...
Well, let you know they care about your comment.
Yeah, it does. But anyway, we hope this Come Sit a Spell. Some of you said you look forward to it each week, and we hope you do. But we like to be as positive as we can and try to give y'all encouragement, but also remind you not to be get complacent. Know that we're not living in utopia. Things could go sideways in a hurry. But in the meantime, we got to occupy until he comes. We got to work. Memories. We got to make more memories and live life as full as we can. Because if you're running fear all the time and scared to go out and face the world, and you might as well not even be here.
The Bible says He hasn't given us a spirit of fear.
That's what it said, but a power, love, and of a sound mind.
Sound mind.
Yeah. And we all get fearful at times. Don't get me wrong, we're human, but if we'll come together as a community, I was telling another YouTuber today about how it seems like more and more it's harder to get people in your personal life to talk about the things we like to talk about, but people on here want to hear what we talk about and what others talk about, whether it's prepping or whether it's raising animals and having a farm and a homestead or whatever. So
that's what I say. I mean, just do your best and live like this is your lifestyle. And then we know either way we're a winner.
Yep.
In the end, we win in the end. So
it's just
live your life.
Right, live it. This is a good way to live.
Just
go back
plain old simple living.
Yeah, go back to planting that garden and raising those animals and having some chickens, and that's just. I think
and not just because the food's so expensive and some of it's scarce, but it's healthier for you to eat your own food that you grow without all the chemicals and stuff like that.
It is, and living this lifestyle just gives you a peace of mind,
And when you're working with your hands, that just gives you an accomplishment when you've done it with your own. When you planted that little seed in that tray and it germinated. This is because I hadn't always germinated my own seeds. It's just recently, not a couple of years ago, I started. And you see that little seed come up. It just does something to you, and then you transfer it into a bigger little container, and then you see it growing bigger and bigger. And then when you put it in the garden, it grows up and you get tomatoes off that bush or
beans,
whatever,
peas.
Squash. I mean, it's just.
And then when you're sitting at the table eating it, it's just more satisfaction, accomplishment.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And it makes you want to do it again and do it again and do it more. And then not only that,
makes you feel not proud in a
not a bad
way,
pride, right?
I mean, look what you've done with your hands by God giving you the knowledge and the ability to do it.
Yeah.
God, it wouldn't grow without God.
Right.
He gives you the
But you had to put
knowledge and the skill sets to do stuff like that. It's just amazing to me.
Well, it's not only that. How about the things that we've learned to build out here? I ain't never been no real good carpenter, but the more you try to live self-sustainable, you don't. That's how you learn, hands-on. The more you do, the more you know how to do.
I mean, you mess up, you start over
again. Self-taught. We've self-taught ourselves with a lot of stuff, and we got a lot of help off YouTube. And
you do it one way. If that don't work, then you try it a different way the next time.
Try again. Yeah.
Just like with the animals, we hadn't always had animals all of our life, but then as you get them, you learn. We know when we first got our goats, we knew nothing about them.
No.
But now we can tell other people about goats because we lived with goats and we know what they do. Now, same way with the sheep, we don't know a lot about them right now, but as we go, we're learning. And
yeah, we're watching people like Greg Judy. He's teaching us a lot.
He's awesome.
He is. So
now a year or so from now, we'll be able to tell other people what about sheep, what they do, and
we didn't know the benefit of rotational grazing. Now we do.
I had read and heard a little bit about it, but I didn't think it was that important until my goats got sick last year.
Well, speaking of getting sick, that's something else. Now that I thought about it today when I was out there feeding up. Now we can tell people the number one thing you need to not do is get overloaded with too many animals right out the gate, right off the bat. Yeah. That is a no-no. Yeah.
It's easy to do. It's easy, very easy.
It'll cause you to lose animals to sickness like we did, or it'll cause you to have burnout and just want to quit with it.
Disgusted.
Start off small. If anybody watches this, you think about starting a homestead or farm with animals or whatever, start out small. Get a few of this and a few of that.
Or just take one set like goats and just learn all you can about them and get that down, and then add more. I mean, chickens. But I mean,
well, that's kind of what I meant with chickens, and then maybe one other goat or sheep.
And rabbits are pretty easy too.
But
I'm talking about like big animals, like we went and got horses, we went and got cows and pigs.
But now
they turn into hogs.
Now we can tell anybody that what little bit of knowledge and experience we have, and the only way you get experience is to do stuff. Yeah. So we've done stuff, we got experience, and there's less stress on me and you too, I'm sure, that we don't have the bigger animals now. Don't get me wrong, a sheep or goat can still hurt you if you're not careful, especially a ram or a buck if you're not careful. I've heard I read some of Greg Judy's comments of some people talking about the ram. It's still an animal no matter how small it may be. But it's less stress when you don't have the bigger animals. I feel like.
Yeah, because I was scared of the horses and the cows.
But right there, that lets you know, we've gained some experience. But
it depends on why you got them. You need to ask your question to yourself: why do I have this animal?
Yeah.
Like the horses. Why did we have the horses?
Yeah.
Were they just yard ornaments, or just because the kids like to come watch them? We didn't use them.
Yeah. Well, when you got them,
in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, if the cars go out, we'll have a way to ride. But I mean, that was just foolish.
But see, all this stuff we're talking about can be discussed, or used to be discussed by our ancestors on the front porch. That's kind of what the whole topic of this thing is. But those things we talked about right now, even though we're sitting in here in Rob Lynn's kitchen, that's the kind of things that you used to talk about on the front porch. Whether it be stuff going in the community, farming, homestead, crops growing, about the kids in school, shelling those beans and peas. Speaking of that, y'all let us know. Which one would you rather pick, and which one would you rather shell out of the beans and the peas?
I'd rather pick peas and shell beans.
Yeah, most people say that. Y'all let us know what y'all done in the past and what you'd rather do. Would you rather pick beans or pick peas? Would you rather shell beans or shell peas?
Now my Aunt Wanda, man, she could shell some peas.
Yeah.
She could throw down on them.
Tell them what your sister used to do with the blooms.
When we were picking peas?
Yeah.
No, beans. My older sister, every time we got in the garden, she would whine, and she hated the garden. And me and Mama, well, my little sister was too little. We'd get in that garden and she would whine, something's biting me, something's biting me. Always, something's biting me, Mama. And she'd get out of picking beans every time. She'd say, well, go to the house. But in the meantime, while she was picking the little blooms on the end, she would just we'd pick up. I was guilty of doing that some. Pick the blooms off so we wouldn't have to pick them for me.
No more beans.
That was evil.
Yeah, that was bad. But now, the time we're living in today, you want to protect every bloom on the bush.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just remember those times. And then right there in the community there we were raised in, they had the post office right there. And way back before our time, I remember my daddy talking about the train depots right there. My great-grandmama used to work there and run the train depot. And everything come through the little town we stayed in there on that train. But everything was right there. All those towns were self-sufficient. Yeah. And everybody knew everybody in the little small town. I love being raised. I thank God every day I was raised in a small country town.
And they didn't know what was going on Florence. And
they sure didn't know what was going on in Jerusalem, in the Middle East. We
ain't got no business knowing about all that stuff over there.
We didn't know what was going on, like she said, in a town, Florence or in Columbia. That was like driving. Now that'd be like driving to California.
But we should have kept our nose in our own business and left everybody else alone.
Yeah. But let us know what era you grew up in. You don't have to share your age if you don't want to, of course. But just let us know that
we won't tell nobody.
Yeah, we didn't know if y'all grew up in a time like that where things were a lot more simpler back then. And I don't want you to let this drag you down thinking about it, but think about those things, and maybe you can reincorporate some of that stuff back in. That's what we've done by coming out here
and sharing and trying to make more memories for our kids to remember. Yes. To tell their children and grandchildren.
I mean, that's the best therapy. You're outside on the front porch. I just
wish that my kids had grown up from birth here where we are now.
Yeah, that's one regret we have, is that we'd have been living right here where we're living when Bradley, Michaela, Corey, and Gavin were born. We raised them right here. Yeah. They'd have been raised more like we were raised if they had been born right here.
Well, we weren't doing this.
See, back in the day, I wasn't as much into. When Granny had planted a garden, I'd help him, but I wasn't really in the garden by myself.
See, I was always into the garden.
I was always raised. My daddy raised me to fish and hunt. That's what I done.
If I was gonna plant something, it didn't matter a flower, wherever I could plant it, I was gonna plant it.
Not only raising them out here, but I wish I'd have been. I wish we'd have started doing what we're doing earlier, not just to raise our kids here, but you thought before, if we'd have been living here the whole time we've been married, or if we've been living here, longer than we have been, we'd have really been a lot further along as far as being
July, 7, 8, 9, 6 years? Is it going to be 6 years in July?
Yeah.
6 years. We've been here 6 years coming July.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? But then again, it seems like we've been here all
And we got a front porch our front porch goes from one end of the house to the other.
We couldn't ask for a better suited house than we got.
Yeah. Even Corey, when we first moved here, they didn't really care much about it. But now that they've been here for a while, they love living here. They like the animals. They like the style of the house. And then we got several, not all, but some of the family loves coming out here. Your sister and them come out here about every weekend on Sunday nights and stuff. And it's nothing special, don't get me wrong, but we've been blessed, and it's a welcoming place that God's blessed us with. And we like the front porch. We got wood under the front porch, got swing on the other end of the front porch, got rocking chairs on the front porch. Rocking chairs come from up there at Amish store in Pigeon Forge. Mm-hmm. Sevierville, yep.
But see, we looked at other houses before this one when we were looking to move, and I just didn't get a good feeling out of, you remember that house we went in? Yeah. I was like, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
But when I walked into this one, it was almost like I was home.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any uneasy feeling or anything.
Yeah. It felt like this was the place that we're supposed to be. And now that we look back on it, God moved us here. We've told y'all that story, but moved us here. 3 months later, Robin Lynn lost her job for 32 years, but we were able to pretty much be debt free and not have a mortgage, and now we are.
It just fits us.
It does.
See, I mean, even though we only got 4 bedrooms, and we had 5, and Michaela didn't need a bedroom.
No.
She didn't need to be by herself in the bedroom.
She needs to be in there with us anyway.
Well, we could keep our eye on her and ear on her or whatever, and know what she's doing, because just trust me, we need to know what she's doing.
Yeah, we need to know what Michaela's doing.
We need to keep our eye on that one.
But y'all let us know though, seriously, if do y'all have a front porch where you live? Do you use your front porch? If you don't, I encourage you to get out on the front porch and
anytime the weather's permissible, we out.
Oh yeah, we out on the front porch. I'll get up in the mornings before I go to work. Sometimes I'll just sit out on the front porch and drink lemon water or drink coffee. And some mornings when you get up and go out that window, because if I get up real early, she's not gonna get up that early, and I understand that. But whether she's out there with me or not, and then when I leave, I'll have my time and I'll even go to work, and she'll send me a picture later of her on the front porch, picture of some birds on the bird feed, and that's another thing. You get to sit down and listen to those birds and watch them. I mean, we're not trying to make anybody jealous, but I mean, we have been blessed beyond measure, and we
more
are
than we deserve.
More than we deserve. We're very grateful. But to wrap this up, the front porch sessions, times of fellowship back in the day brought families or kept families closer together. Everybody would meet up at one location. Now it's this family's over here, this family's here, but I still thank the Lord we get together at your mama's house every Sunday after church. Most every Sunday, unless somebody's sick or whatever. But y'all give us some feedback on the front porch, what you think about it. Do you think that's a good place of refuge, so to speak, and relieving stress? And let us know if you were raised in a city or out in a small town with a post office and a train depot. And did y'all do the things like that when the train would come by? And the train track, it was right in your grandparents' front door. I mean, it was just right there. Yep. But I remember staying with my granny.
But I don't ever remember it as far as disturbing you.
No, it didn't disturb me, but I remember staying with my granny, which lived back the other way across the field from the track. And I remember spending the night with her sometime, and I could hear that whistle blowing, man. That was, and back then you slept with the windows open. Slept with the windows open, maybe a box fan in the window, or no fan in the window. I remember the bed Granny used to have, the windows were so low in there and the bed was up so high, they'd push it up against the wall and you lay right there, you was right there at the window. And the breeze be just blowing in there. You could look outside and see
even the weather was so
they call them fireflies now, we call them lightning bugs. You see them flashing around the edge of the field like there. And another thing I remember, when Granddaddy would plow that, get somebody to come and disc that field, or if he would run that mule, I remember, seriously, I can remember at night, you could smell that fresh,
wet dirt, like
this dirt or whatever, turned dirt back in the day. That was a good time.
Well, if we don't quit remembering, we're going to keep on going.
I know it. We don't keep y'all too long, but
this
thank
will be
y'all.
a take 2.
Yeah, thank y'all. A lot we could talk. We might do that. We might continue on with this because front porch is where it's at, man. We're thankful for ours. And y'all just let us know that, like we asked you, y'all raised on the front porch like we were, what kind of town, city, whatever. And stay positive, stay focused, stay prayed up, stay prepped up much as you can. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head in the game, but live life to the fullest.
Make memories.
Make memories while you can. And
good ones.
Good ones. If we're the only family you got, then for that we're very grateful. And we hope we can bring y'all some joy. Anything else you got, babe?
I think that's it. I think that's enough.
That's enough.
For tonight.
Thank y'all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed sitting a spell with us here in the kitchen on the homestead. And until next time, remember, Jesus Christ loves you.
And Jesus Christ is the answer for any and everything you're going through in life.
Amen. What she said. Y'all have a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.